Welcome back, and today we start the last section of the first unit. So we've already looked at atoms and how atoms can be joined together to form the biomolecules, and now the biomolecules will go into making cells. So we're going to look at the structure of cell and the organelles that go into those cells today. And the first unit, or first part of this, we're just going to look at kind of the levels of organization, the hierarchy of it. And we've already talked about atoms, so we had a little bit of a chemistry review. We then looked at how those atoms can be joined together to make molecules or compounds, specifically biomolecules. So we looked at carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, nucleic acids. And now what we're going to look at in this section is how those biomolecules join together to form organelles and how the organelles form a cell. So the first thing we're going to look at is the two basic types of cells. So we've got a prokaryotic cell, which is a proto or early cell, and then a eukaryotic cell. And if we look right here in the middle of this Venn diagram, we'll see a couple things that they all have in common. So they all have ribosomes, so they're all going to need to produce proteins because those are so important in terms of metabolism and the production of enzymes. They both have DNA, so they've got to be able to pass their genes on to the next generation. They've got some type of heredity. They both have cytoplasm. They both have a cell membrane, which would be so important that we're going to do a specific unit just on the cell membrane, so that controls movement in and out and how it's selectively permeable. And some of both of them, they don't have to, but some can have flagella for movement. Now, if we look on the left-hand side for the prokaryotes, what we see here is that they're very simple. They have no nucleus. The DNA is kind of in a nucleoid region. It's not held in the condensed area of the nucleus. They're small and simple. There's no organelles. They're very abundant, so bacteria. They're all unicellular. Some of them have a sticky capsule. They have cell walls. They were the first cells, and they can live in a wide variety of environments. Now, if we look at the eukaryotic, or the more developed, more complex cells, they do have a nucleus. They have organelles, so we're going to talk about mitochondria and chloroplasts. They can be unicellular or multicellular. They have a cytoskeleton, so they have a structure of microtubules and microfilaments that give them some shape. Some have cilia, and basically it includes everything that's not bacteria. So it's a wide-ranging family of cells. And to wrap it up for today, just a quick look. So we talked about how the prokaryotic cells over here on the left are very simple, and we can see inside of them the DNA is kind of loosely held in this nucleoid region. There's not compartmentalization. There's not specialization. They can have flagella, and you can see there is a cell membrane. Many of them will have a cell wall, and some of them will have a capsule protecting them on the outside. Over on the right, when we look at a eukaryotic cell, you can see how much more complex it is. You can see that there's compartments inside. There's the mitochondria, there's peroxisomes and lysosomes, there's ribosomes to make proteins. You've got the Golgi apparatus, you've got cytoskeleton, and then you've got the large nucleus in the endomembrane system for processing and packaging and shipping proteins. So that's the objective of the first little unit here, is just to look at the difference between prokaryotic, very simple cells, and eukaryotic cells that are more complex. Thanks, and we'll talk to you soon.